So I finished watching the Code Black documentary on Netflix, and it made me feel a little bit more relieved about my profession in athletic training. Um, by that, I mean it's pretty similar to what ER docs do, but without that much emergency. It still involves all the IOM core competencies that pretty much athletic trainers use. The aspect of the film that I engaged most with was probably the C booth. It was really interesting to see all the residency students think on their feet, and that's one of the things I'll probably remember a lot, especially when I ever think of a hospital or an ER. And it just makes me think about reactions to certain events that happen. I can get that a lot from athletic training, but to see it from a point of view in an ER is really different. Obviously, they deal with more medication, emergency care than athletic training would, but it's still all the same in aspects of patient centered care. Would I watch this again? Of course I would. It was a really interesting documentary. Uh, Very enjoyable. There were times when I was a little squeamish with when they cut the body open, but other than that, it was a really good movie. It really showed me a good side of the healthcare profession and where it's heading. What would be different about the second viewing if I had one? I'd really focus on the body language of the residency students. They did a really good job in the C booth, but I want to focus more on their just how they react, more or less than what they do. I'd like to see their facial expressions again, focus on that, how they react to all the pretty much mayhem that goes on in the ER. How would this be different for people of different groups? So, gender, age, ethnicity, backgrounds, all that. It depends on who you are and how you feel about healthcare. I know all the residency students come from different backgrounds in this movie. Some were of different ethnicity, they were different ages, there were males, there were females. It just depends on how they view it. From my point of view, I viewed it as pretty much it doesn't matter who you are, but it's the healthcare system itself that you should really be worried about. And I believe all these residency students in the movie performed beyond expectation, but that's from an athletic training student standpoint and their point of view. But all the same, I think it's that it doesn't matter where you come from as long as you notice that anyone can do this if they pretty much put their mind to it. So, what is the place of this film within healthcare? Uh, it really incorporates those IOM core competencies. Mostly in part, it's the patient centered care and the interprofessional collaborations. That's what I picked up the most out of this. It was pretty obvious from the beginning of those. I didn't really see much of the healthcare informatics utilizing that. Um, there was some evidence based practice. I even remember one of the residency students say they don't really want to do the research, they just want to interpret it and better their patient care from there. And that's really where we get that bridge between doctors and athletic trainers and other sorts of healthcare professions. So, how influential is the movie to the future of the healthcare system? It shows where we're going, I believe. But more than that, it's showing that it's already here. Healthcare is always growing. We're finding new research that shows how we can do patient centered care even better than before. And how this relates back to athletic training, we do the same thing within our own little healthcare system. It's just the fact that we may be a little smaller right now. It's still a growing profession, but we can relate all these issues back to athletic training, even with the IOM core competencies, especially patient centered care, EBP, collaborating with all those healthcare professionals, which may in some cases be ER docs or residency students, depending on where you're at. And I think that's really what the main point that this Code Black film was trying to get across, was that our healthcare system is evolving as time goes on. And it's actually a good thing for athletic training because we're growing as healthcare is growing. And we're going to eventually be seen more than just your average ankle tapers and water boys. We're going to be seen as pretty much not at the level as ER docs, but we're getting closer and closer to being recognized more and more as healthcare professionals rather than getting confused with personal trainers or strength and conditioning coaches. And this film did an excellent job of showing us that.